lovers, and welcome back to my channel. So normally I don't really like to film my paranormal videos with my beauty background, but I'm like lazy and I'm like, I don't want to move all my equipment to somewhere else. So yeah, we're gonna tell a paranormal story bougie style today. Okay, so since the last paranormal story I have told, some really creepy things have happened. This video will probably be kind of long, like this video if you like long paranormal stories. I could drag this out into multiple, like a bunch of multiple ones, but I'm like, ugh, I don't know. When I watch paranormal stories, I'm like, I just like to sit for a while, like, you know what I mean? And like hear lots of stuff. Like I don't want it broken up. Anyways, I will leave a link to my previous paranormal story video up here somewhere, and then I'll link the whole playlist. I have so many stories, guys, and most of them are personal stories, so I will leave that playlist down for you below. Alright, so I've been meaning to film this video for a while, so like the timeline might be kind of like far back, but first couple things that happened were, it was near Halloween time, and my little sister Sarah, who she's 15, she came and stayed with me one night, and we were gonna have a sleepover, and we watched a bunch of scary movies. Like she had never seen the original Exorcist, so we watched that. What else? She had never seen The Exorcism of Emily Rose, which that is like one of the scariest movies I think ever. So we watched that, and then we just did like a scary movie marathon, which I've mentioned this all the time, but anytime I start really watching a lot of like horror things or scary things or talking about it a lot, sometimes it makes the activity increase. I don't know why, but I've talked about that before. But anyways, so while we're watching the video, so I have 3 dogs, and all 3, none of them are growlers. 2 of them are barkers, and one of them, she's like a mute. Lily is like, never makes noise. Every once in a while, if she sees like a cat, she'll make this like noise, but other than that, she doesn't really bark. She will bark like if something's seriously wrong. But anyways, none of my dogs growl. Like I've never heard, they just don't growl. They're not growlers. And so we're watching those scary movies, and all of a sudden my youngest dog, Aurora, which if you've seen her in videos, she's the gray brindle one that looks like a coyote. She's the biggest one, but she started growling, and I was like, my sister and I kind of looked at each other, and she got up and she walked by our kitchen door. So in my house we have 2 doors. We have a front door, which we never use, and then we normally just go in and out of the house from the kitchen door, which is behind our living room and where we watch TV and everything. So she growled and she like walked towards the kitchen door and was just staring at it, and we were like, what the heck? Like it was just so weird. And then like throughout the night, we kept hearing like little noises coming like back by the kitchen, and I don't know, you know, there is a window right there, so sometimes you can hear things outside. So I don't really know, but it was just really creepy. Like we just kept like getting all creeped out and things like that. So there was that. Then this incident happened on Halloween, which I think like makes it even scarier, because I don't know, some people say that Halloween is one of the days of the year that spirits can really come through all day long, like without it having to be 3 o'clock, or you know what I mean, that the veil is just super thin all day long that day. So this was on Halloween, and during this time, like that night and like literally like that morning and the night before, I was really into watching Dybbuk box videos, which if you have not looked up Dybbuk box videos on YouTube, do it. Like it's just so freaky. If you've seen the movie The Possession, which is based off a true story of like the true haunted Dybbuk box, like the famous one that apparently recently Post Malone like kind of had an interaction with and had really bad luck afterwards. Anyways, this video is gonna be like so long if I talk too much about Dybbuk boxes, but I was like deep diving into Dybbuk box videos during this time period. And so I was in my bathroom, and all of a sudden I hear and it just kept going. Like it was just constant, and I was like, what is that? And at first I almost thought it was like a car just making loud noise or something, because it was just long. And so I walked out and I walked through the kitchen. Okay, so one of my dogs likes to eat her food under our dining room table. I don't know why, it's Lily. Lily's the one that is pretty much mute most of the time. And it was coming from under the table, and then I realized, oh my god, that's somebody growling. And so I looked under and it was Lily, and she was growling, which again, guys, this is so out of her character. Actually, I've heard her growl one time, and it was when we first got her. We got her from the Humane Society, and we lived in an apartment complex, and we took her outside for the first time to go potty, and one of the walls of the apartment cast a shadow of us, so it was like a really big shadow, and she growled, and she like got out in front of both of Jesse and I, was just like how she was growling this day. But other than that, I've never heard her growl ever again in her entire life. So I was freaked out. I was like, Lil Bill. We call her Lil Bill. And so then she stopped, and I looked under, and she looked terrified, you guys. She has really bright blue eyes, and so when she opens her eyes, like, it looks scary sometimes. So she looked terrified, and almost to the point where, like, I don't know why I was scared to like pet her or go near her, just because she looked like in that state where she's just so scared that, you know, I didn't want her to bite me by accident or anything like that. Again, she's never done that before. I just got that feeling. So I kind of just crouched down and I like put my hand out to her, like, you know, when you first meet a dog, let them sniff you. And I was like, Lil Bill, it's mommy. And then she kind of like relaxed a little bit. And then so then I pet her, and then she kind of just was fine. But it was the weirdest thing. And then the weird thing is, guys, is like for, I would say, a couple days, maybe like 3 or 4 days after that, she was just acting so weird, so spooked. She's already kind of like a sketchy dog, like she gets spooked really easily, but more so when there's something out of the routine, like somebody coming over, or if we bring like an object in the house that is like out of, I don't know. On a day-to-day basis, she's fine, but after that happened, she was acting so weird. She would not go in our bedroom. It was just weird, you guys. There was one night where I got up to go to the bathroom, and she just like came in there and was like snuggling up to me, and just seemed like she was scared and just acting so weird. And just the way she was looking at me was like, I don't know, it was just really weird. I don't know if she saw something. Oh, and I also want to say too, you might think, oh, maybe one of the other dogs was going to get her food. A, like, they don't mess with her food, and B, she doesn't even growl anyways. Like I said, like, there was no explanation. So I don't know if maybe she saw something and it just spooked her, or if maybe something was kind of hanging around the house, like if me and my sister watching these scary videos kind of invited or attracted something, and it kind of just stayed for a little bit, and Lily like sensed it or saw it. They do say that dogs and animals can sense things way more than we can. So I really don't know, but something spooked the crap out of her, and it was just creepy and weird. Okay, so next couple things that happened at work. And oh gosh, 2 of the incidences, something touched me that wasn't there, and then the other 2 were like mind reading, psychic things. I don't know which. I have a separate whole story about that. This one I am going to make a separate video, because this video would be like an hour long. But basically recently, so like today that I'm filming this, I think it's like December 6th or 7th or something. You might not be watching this till later. I'm trying to pre-film a little bit just so that way the holidays I'm not super stressed. But anyways, Monday, so I think it was like December 3rd, I served a table, and the guy was a psychic, and it was the weirdest experience I've ever had in my entire life. So yeah, that will be coming also. So make sure you have that notification bell turned on, that way you don't miss that. But anyways, so first I'll start with the 2 times that something touched me. So the first time it happened was, we have like a server alley, which is in between a main dining room and our kitchen, where it's just like the servers. That's where we put all of our supplies, and that's where we polish silverware, and that's where like our schedules are and everything like that. So it's just like a hallway, like a really, you know, normal thin sized hallway. And me and my friend Teddy were polishing silverware, and we were facing each other, just talking. Like, we weren't even talking about anything scary, we were just talking. And I felt like something, like, I don't know, if it almost felt like a really big bug or something landing on my back, or something like doing this to my back. And so my first reaction is I thought it was a big bug or something, or we have like really big spiders at my work. So I don't know, it just felt like something big landed on my shirt, like on my back. And so I turned around and I was like freaking out, and I was like, oh my God, Teddy, is there something on my back? Is there a bug on my back? And she was like looking, and then we like looked around. She's like, no, there's nothing there. And I was like, are you sure? Like, I felt something on my back. Like, I felt something touch my back. And I was like, did somebody walk by behind us that I didn't see or something? And she was like, no. So that was really weird. And again, it was like startling enough to get me out of the conversation we were having and like make me freak out. So something definitely touched me. Really weird. So then a couple weeks later, I was in the middle of the bar, which is, so at my work, we have a dining room area, which is where we were near when this first thing happened. And then there's a more casual dining area, which is the bar, but it's more just like a typical restaurant setting kind of. So it gets busy, there's lots of people around, like there's lots of commotion, you know what I mean? So I was serving down in there, and I was talking to a table, and all of a sudden I felt something like tap my butt. So I turned around and there was nobody there, like nobody was trying to get my attention. No one was even like, it's not like someone like moved their chair and accidentally bumped into me. And so I like turned around, because I was already spooked like at this point by that place, which my work is known to be haunted. It's really old. It's part country club, so there are a lot of older members. So a lot of them do die there. There have been some tragic deaths there. And so everybody says that my work is haunted. And so anyways, after, you know, the first time being touched, I was already like kind of on alarm at work a little bit. But not at this time, because I was in the middle of talking to a table. It was like dinner rush, like there was a lot going on. There was a lot of people around, but I was spooked. So I turned around, and at this point my table kind of was like looking at me like, what is going on? And they were members, so they know me and everything. So they kind of were like, I was being out of character. Like, I don't act like that usually. So they kind of were like, are you okay? And I was like, did somebody walk by me, or was there anything behind me? And they were like, no. And so I was like, okay, I'm really sorry, but I swear I felt something touch me, and I'm sorry. And I'm just always super honest. I was just like, weird things have been happening to me here, so I'm really sorry. And they kind of just laughed, and like they were super cool about it. But again, it was so weird. There was no explanation. Something definitely touched me, because again, I was in the middle of a conversation, like taking orders, you know what I mean? And it was enough to like interrupt me and for me to turn around. So that was really weird. So now we'll get into the other things that happened. One night, again, I was in the bar, and it was towards the end of the night. Like there was only maybe 1 or 2 tables left, so it was pretty quiet. And it was just me, another server. Ooh, I didn't even change names. I don't think Teddy would mind that. Let me change these names just in case. So we'll say one server, his name was Brandon, and the bartender, we'll call him Peter. So anyways, Brandon had just started serving, and he was kind of new at the computers and everything like that. And so he was behind me. I would say a solid, I don't know, maybe 30 feet behind me, which is where the computer was. And then right next to that computer is the bar, which is where Peter was at, the bartender. So it was just us 3 there. And I had my back face towards them, and I was just wiping down one of my tables, cleaning it. Again, like not thinking anything, just kind of like in like glaze over mode, you know what I mean? And I hear someone call my name, say Julia, and it sounded like a male's voice. So I turned around, and neither Brandon or Peter were looking at me. And so I was like, that's kind of weird. So I looked around, and I looked at the tables that were left and nobody was looking at me, like getting my attention or anything. So I was really confused. And so I was like, gosh, but I heard it from behind me. So I looked back again. And at that point, Brandon and Peter were both looking at me. And I was like, did one of you just call me? And they both were like, no. And Brandon was kind of like, well, I was gonna call you for help on something on the computer, but I figured it out and I didn't need to call you. He goes, but I was about to say your name kind of right when you turned around. And I was like, but you never did say it out loud? And he was like, no. And so at that point, Peter was like, because Peter was kind of new, and he was just like, what is going on? You guys are freaking me out. Like, what is going on here? Kind of just like this freaking loony bird place. So yeah, I really can't confirm for sure, but I can for sure say I heard someone say my name. It was a male voice and it was behind me. And I don't know if that, you know, this has never happened to me before where I hear someone's thoughts, but I am pregnant right now. And I have heard that when you're pregnant, like if you do have any kind of, you know, openness or I don't know, psychic telepathy stuff, that it can come out. Also, I've talked about her before, but I have a cousin who is super like in tune and super just aware of everything, and she had said that she has felt like gotten feelings that Penelope is going to be pretty aware and alert. So I don't know if it's because Penelope is really open that things are happening to me. I don't really know, but I feel like I had heard him thinking about me. It was really weird. And then this happened again like a couple weeks later with somebody else. So fast forward a couple weeks, I'll change her name to, we'll call her, I don't know, Jessica. I like have such a hard time thinking of pretend names. But anyways, so my friend Jessica, which we're super close, like she's probably one of my really good friends at work. Like I open up to her, I confide in her in a lot of things. And anyways, so one night, again, it was towards the end of the night, there was hardly anyone there. The only people left from the restaurant were me, Jessica, and then one other manager, but he was kind of in his office. Usually the managers at the end of the night, like they do inventory and stuff like that, paperwork in their office. And so anyways, on the floor, it was just me and Jessica. And so we have this little like side room right by the bar, which sometimes people can book for meetings, or they have like little events in there. Or if nobody's using it, we kind of use that as like another makeshift server station where we roll our silverware, keep our food and stuff like that. But it's a room that has a door, you know what I mean, and it opens and closes. So this night the door was kind of cracked open, which if it's cracked open, if it's quiet and someone's talking in that room, you can hear them. Like you can't really hear what they're saying, but you can hear that somebody's talking. So was in there, and I was about to walk in there and start doing my paperwork, and I was walking towards there and I hear her talking, and like I thought for a second, I'm like, well, who is she talking to? Because I don't think anyone else is here, and guests don't go in there if like we're in there, you know what I mean? So I'm like, did somebody not go home, or like it's somebody, who is she talking to, kind of? I was thinking to myself. So I walk in and I turn the corner and I look and there's nobody there. And I was like, were you just talking to somebody, or were you talking to me? So then at that point I'm like, well, maybe she knew I was coming or something and was talking to me. And she kind of looked at me and was like, no, but I was thinking about you and what I was gonna say to you. So long story short, my doctor is actually a member at my work, and I see her there a lot, and she's super awesome. But anyways, during this time I had been having a lot of cramping, and so that night my doctor had come in and eaten there. And so Jessica was like, well, I was just thinking like, oh, like I wonder, you know, did Julia ask her doctor about like maybe what could be causing the cramping, since her doctor was here tonight? And she was like, and so I was thinking about asking you like that. And I was like, but you weren't talking at all. Like you weren't even talking at all. And she was like, no. And I was like, I heard you talking. Like it was just, again, guys, like I know it sounds crazy, and I really don't know what else to tell you, like, other than, like, if you guys know me in person, like, you guys know, like, I'm super honest, but I swear I heard her talking. And so, again, I don't know, like, why that happened. I don't know why it keeps happening. I don't know if it has to do, like, because like I said, all these things, except for the first two things, have happened at work. I don't know if there is maybe a lot of energy there. I have no idea, but it was just freaky, so I wanted to come on here and tell you guys. So that is gonna be it for my paranormal stuff. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day, night, whatever time it is, and I'll catch you in my next video.